Speech-language pathologists help children and adults communicate more effectively. In this video, we're going to help you answer the question, should you become a speech-language pathologist in 2020? We're going to go over the latest salaries, job market statistics, and the latest trends coming up. Hey everyone, Stephen Hack here with CareerWatch, where we help you with your career search. If you end up enjoying the video, hit that thumbs up to support the channel. All the charts and graphs used in this video are available at my blog at www.careerwatch.co/blog/speech-language pathologist. Speech-language pathologists have a number of roles and responsibilities. With adults and children, they evaluate speech, language, and swallowing difficulty. They help create treatment options for adults and children. They teach adults and children how to make certain sounds. They help children and adults strengthen the muscles needed for swallowing. And they counsel individuals and families on how to deal with speech difficulties. For more technical information, check out the Coursera course, Voice Disorders: What Patients and Professionals Need to Know. This course is taught by Mark Corey, a medical doctor in association with the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York City. Currently has an average 4.9 star rating with over 130 reviews. Feel free to check out the link below for more information. So what is the average salary of a speech-language pathologist? Well, this first set of data is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It doesn't include overtime and other benefits. It only includes base salaries. In 2009, the average base salary for a speech-language pathologist was $47,820. This rose to $82,000 in 2019. So over about 2 decades, there was a wage growth of a little over $34,000 for speech-language pathologists. This comes out to an average yearly wage growth of around $1,700 per year. If we were to apply this average yearly wage growth into the future, in 2020, the average base salary would be around $84,000 per year, and by 2029, the average base salary would be around $99,000 per year. The average starting salary for a speech-language pathologist would probably be around $50,000 per year. This is the 10th percentile. Whereas a speech-language pathologist that has lots of experience and lives in a competitive job market, the top 10% of speech-language pathologists earn more than $121,000 per year. In fact, there is almost a $70,000 difference between a starting salary for a speech-language pathologist and someone that's in the top 10% for wages. Geography definitely plays a role in the compensation of speech-language pathologists. The lowest paying state recorded in 2019 was the state of South Dakota, with an average base salary of around $61,000 per year. Whereas the highest paying state, the state of Connecticut, on average pays speech-language pathologists around $101,000 per year. In this map, all the dark blue areas are the high paying states and all the lighter blue areas are the lower paying states. But also keep in mind, Connecticut, California, the higher paying states also have a higher cost of living to go with their higher wages. High paying states include the state of Connecticut, Washington, D.C., New York, New Jersey, California, Colorado, and Virginia. Low paying states include South Dakota, West Virginia, Maine, Mississippi, North Dakota, and Alabama. Work environment also plays a role in the compensation of speech-language pathologists. Nursing care facilities tend to pay them more money than other work environments, with an average base salary of around $95,000 per year, whereas education is the lowest paying work environment on average, where the average base salary is around $70,000 per year. Compared to similar occupations, speech-language pathologists kind of have an average compensation. They make more than respiratory therapists, but also keep in mind respiratory therapists that only requires an associate's degree to get in, whereas a speech-language pathologist typically requires a master's degree to get into this occupation. Speech-language pathologists on average earn less than audiologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, physician assistants, and psychologists. So that covers the compensation of speech-language pathologists. Next up, what is the job market like? Is it easy to get a job? Is this a growing field? Well, this first set of data is also from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They have been surveying the number of jobs for speech-language pathologists for over 20 years. In 1999, there was 85,920 employed speech-language pathologists. This rose to 154,360 employed speech-language pathologists in 2019. And also notice that even during the Great Recession, employment for speech-language pathologists really wasn't affected. There was no dip in the number of jobs. So over about 2 decades, the number of employed speech-language pathologists has grown by over 64,000 jobs. The latest prediction by the government is that they will see a 25% growth in the number of jobs over the next 10 years. This is a 2019 prediction, and this is also a pre-COVID prediction. So they were predicting that by 2029, there should be around 192,000 employed speech-language pathologists. So they're anticipating a lot of job growth for this occupation. So the number of jobs is really driven by a couple different things. When someone has a stroke, they often need a speech-language pathologist to help them get their speech back. And also with children, the children with autism and other developmental disorders, they often need a speech-language pathologist to come in and help them work on their speech. So geographically, speech-language pathologists are needed in just about every single state. Obviously, most of the job opportunities are going to be in states with lots of people. So the states with the greatest number of employed include California, Texas, New York, and Florida. So how competitive is this occupation? To determine this, I use Indeed.com. Indeed is a job search engine. It pulls in job postings from many different sources. When I searched for speech-language pathologist or speech therapy and a number of other different keywords that would bring up job postings for speech-language pathologists in the United States, I found that there was about 13,000 job postings all across the United States. In 2019, there was about 154,000 employed. This gives us a ratio of 1 job posting per 12 employed speech-language pathologists. In my opinion, anytime the ratio falls below 15, this is shortage territory. So right now, currently, there is somewhat of a shortage of speech-language pathologists across the United States. Another thing to keep in mind is this is not a small occupation. There are more speech-language pathologists employed than there are respiratory therapists, psychologists, physician assistants, occupational therapists, but there aren't quite as many speech-language pathologists as there are physical therapists. So let's say you're interested in this occupation. How do you determine if this occupation is compatible with your interests and personality? Well, for help determining whether your interests align with this occupation, definitely do a RIASEC assessment. A RIASEC assessment helps you determine what your interests are across 6 different domains. There are free RIASEC assessments all across the internet, and there's quite a few to choose from, and there's even one from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Speech-language pathologists that take a RIASEC assessment tend to score high in the social and investigative themes. People that score high in the social theme tend to describe themselves as helpful, cooperative, kind, cheerful, and patient. They are motivated by helping, empowering, and instructing others. People that work in this occupation really need to be very empathetic. They're going to be working with kids with autism and potentially adults that have had strokes. People in this occupation also tend to score high in the investigative theme. People that score high in the investigative theme tend to describe themselves as thoughtful, analytical, intellectual, complex, and curious, and they're often motivated by analyzing, inquiring, and researching. So this is also pretty compatible with the occupation. So what are the personalities of speech-language pathologists? Well, 15.3% of speech-language pathologists, this is according to the MBTI type tables for occupations, 2nd edition, about 15% fall in the ESFJ camp. Basically, they're also known as the caregiver. About 10% fall in as ENFP, the champion. About 10% the inspector, ISTJ. And about 9.3% of speech-language pathologists surveyed fall into ENFJ, also known as the giver. So as far as entering this occupation, every single state regulates speech-language pathologists. Almost all of the time, states require people to have at least a master's degree before they can begin working. But there are some exceptions. In 2017, the Bureau of Labor Statistics did a survey of the education of speech-language pathologists. They found that about 86%, the vast majority, had a master's degree. 11% snuck in and had a bachelor's degree. This might be in some random state that maybe doesn't regulate them as hard. We're not entirely sure. And about 3% had a doctorate degree. So as you can see, there are pros and cons to becoming a speech-language pathologist in 2020. There has been great job growth in this occupation over the past 20 years, and people think that this is going to continue. The government is predicting a 25% increase in the number of employed over the next 10 years. The barrier to entry is somewhat high. You really need a master's degree to get into this occupation. People that enter this occupation definitely need to be pretty empathetic, and it really helps if they're pretty curious too. Are you a speech language pathologist? What do you enjoy about this occupation, and what do you dislike about this occupation? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.